yeah, see, I'm kind of watching my own intro and falling in love with my own intro that I almost was late coming in. How you guys doing? Happy New Year. And they say, oh, stop saying Happy New Year effective of this Friday, the 9th, and everything like that. Nah, I'm going to say it as long as I'm meeting new people and getting new subscribers and all that good stuff. So join us. Hit the like, subscribe. Look, I know I'm a podcaster coming out of nowhere, but if you just do the work, that's my light falling down. I'm sorry. If you do the work, you will see that I've been doing this for a long time. Got a lot of years in it. Go to the Spotify, go to Apple. Actually, you should start with SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You'll see Individual Perspective Podcast going back into 2015. I used to do this in like 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, all that. I used to actually record my podcast and put it on a website where you had to go to the website and just click the button to play. But with the new streaming and hosting structure that's in different little platforms and stuff, I now I just do the YouTube thing, because for some reason you guys have podcasts is all audio. Is the whole purpose of it is just to it's society way to improve on radio broadcasting, where it was, you had to have a broadcast satellite to get to different channels on FM or AM. Streaming is just as powerful, and all people have to do is have a good Wi-Fi signal, pretty decent Wi-Fi signal, and you can get good audio out there. But now, on top of that, people want to see people when they do their podcasts and stuff. And I know having people in the chair interviewing and stuff, and having me where you can see my whole desk and everything like that, that's the new improved way, which I have the ability to do all that. But I think this is more sound-minded to the purpose of what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? So how you guys doing? This Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm actually doing like just a perspective moment right now, because I have to get into a lot of stuff. I know I got to get into the political stuff, current events and stuff like that. I just wanted to just make sure that I come in and do something, interact with you guys in some way. I got to get these subscribers up. This is really ridiculous. And I know it's something that I'm not doing that's logical for me to be able to do, like cut up the videos and put them on Instagram and different stuff like that. But I want to build my YouTube audience and everything like that. So I know I gotta do some different thumbnails and all that stuff, and I absolutely will. I just want to make sure that I at least come in and do a podcast and everything. And I think about I listen to some podcasters and I see a lot of different things that goes on, and I agree with their sentiments about leveling up. And leveling up is a day-to-day fight. You know what I mean? Because you're no matter where you at, you gotta move up. You get what I'm saying? The only improvement for circumstances, or let's say issues that may come into life, may be technically more money. Just got to get more money. Find a way to make more money. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. I don't like it, but that's just the way it is. That's our culture. That's our society. And that's what you got to do. In the midst of that, you're trying to make sure that you don't leave something very important behind, and the goals that's purposeful to you, because what they say within the communication of leveling up, and in addition to what they tell you to kind of do your purpose and stuff, is that you must stay focused on your purpose, because you have direction. People have direction. They know what they're doing. They know what they have to do. Sometimes it comes at a sacrifice of economic growth, but at the same time, if it's your purpose, and in results is you're going to get that economic growth. You know what I mean? But in a driver's situation, you're not allowed to just go for your purpose. You have to go for your purpose plus build, and plus actually stay conscious of your responsibilities around you and everything. And that's brutal. It's really brutal because you don't have downtime. You literally got to go. You got to be running on all cylinders. And then you have to, I think what I had, one of my issues was, and even to this day, it's a little 10 to 20% that I'm holding on to, but my issue is to cut ties with anybody that's not like, they just don't move the way I need people around me to move. There's certain ways that I gotta move, because if I don't move in the way that I'm moving, I don't even think I would be nowhere halfway where I'm at right now. So how crazy and aggressive I am, and constant plotting and strategizing and moving and doing stuff and kind of fighting for that edge and everything. Even for me, it's still, I feel like I gotta do more. I gotta do more podcasting, more distribution of my films, more like going out, doing work, getting money and all that stuff like that, more plotting and strategizing to what needs to be done for the next 30 days, to the next 60 days, to the next 90 days, and then executing all of them before you can go to anything else. You got to check off all that, you know what I mean? And the aggressiveness of even how I gotta be is extremely wow. You know what I mean? The reason why I say that is because leveling up, and what I keep saying leveling up, because I feel like our culture is level up culture. So it's all about getting to that six figures and all that stuff like that, and above the six figures really, and getting to grandeur of accomplishment, which is illogical. It's illogical to even think of that to be the norm. That's just stupid. That's some highfalutin thought process. That's elitist ideology and stuff. But I still say, even if you're kind of going from $37 an hour to $75 an hour, $300 to $600 a day, even if you're going from that to $10,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $100,000 a month, even if you're kind of playing in that range, that fight to get to that is it's brutal. It's brutal. And I think a gentleman, because no matter what his opposition say, or his enemies say, or even his own rhetoric and the contradiction that's in his own rhetoric, Anton Daniels of AntonDaniels.com, and he's from Detroit and everything. I do see, even if I don't agree with his terminologies and how he even articulates things, and he doesn't have a broad spectrum view, he has a spectrum from his throne. It's a way that he looks at it from his throne, and he tries to be empathetic and stuff like that, but it's just, when you get that high up, you just, it's hard to relate, because you got to be in your mode. You got to be constantly in your mode, and you don't let nobody break it, because it's like how Steve Jobs said, you got to let the A-level players play with the A-level people. Don't mix it up. You know what I mean? So, meaning that how he thinks, how he moves, and how he feels that time should be used every single day, and what you would do for outcome of an individual per day is so A-level to him that he won't even allow other people that are majorly playing at his level to be in his actual orbit. Like the people that interact with him, that are business partners, that are collaborators, that are people that he's kind of grooming, or he's saying, I'm putting time in you. The reason why he's putting time in them, because they're bringing a value. They're bringing a value to him. And he sees the value. He sees the value in the way they articulate themselves, their brain strength, their intelligence, or their the way that they, not so much how they look, but how their package is for the majority consumer base or interactors or something like that. Sometimes business people, when you walk in a room with how your woman is packaged and how you're packaged, you can close a deal on that alone. And for him, that's how he sees his co-hosts and all the different things that he deal with on a day-to-day basis. That's how he looks at it, you know? And for me, it's been something I've been saying for decades. When you walk in a room, you must control that room. You must. I don't care if it's the executive of Warner Brothers. I'm a filmmaker, so to me, the rooms that would be valuable to me would be investors or like real big studios, film studios, because they're the ones who can make a decision to how I move. Whew. Excuse me. I've been literally out in the wild since probably 4 or 5 this morning, and I told myself I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do a couple of hours of podcasting and everything, but at least this gonna be about a 30 minutes or so. But back to what I'm saying about, so I'm yarning because, you know, just doing it. I'm aggressive. But at the same time, how Anton Daniels see it, I don't want people to look at how I'm talking about Anton Daniels and how his mindset is and how he operates his business. Don't get a separation of that because he's a millionaire. You have to do that to your own life. And it doesn't make it that you're doing it to become a millionaire. You're doing it just to keep what you got stable. What you got stable. And in that stability, your eyes will open for new opportunities, for things that you could do more. But you cannot do more if you're fighting every day just to get what you got. You get what I'm saying? Just to keep what you got, just to sustain what you got. So in order to do that, everybody you can't. It's what I found out is a lot of the Generation X and the millennials too have taken on an approach, even if they're in relationships with each other, is that that you're on oppositions though. You're not really partners, or not partners, but let's say you're not fighting the same war. You know what I mean? Everybody's still kind of fighting their own separate war, you know? And you have to decide what war you're going to fight. You know what I mean? So two people, they're together and they're fighting totally separate outcome. This is what I want for me. You know what I mean? And this is what I want for me, you know? And by doing that, you're kind of doing twice as much. You're doing twice everything. Everything you're doing is twice. You're doubling the output of something that you only need to do it one time, is consistent and stable. You know what I mean? And what I mean by all this is to say that the saying that we are better together than we're apart is real. It's so real. It is so real. But the culture and the society we have, you'll be a fool to not strategize and execute on things or plot things to your own benefit. Why? Because most people benefit is for a moment thing. It's a momentarily thing, or a self-gratification that has no longevity value to it. So you may not know that, but that's how most people move. And then by the time you find out that this person has their own agenda, they have their own motivation, they have their own standards of what should be happening on a day to day. And by doing that, is that the best for all of us? You know what I mean? And the more that we get into the women and the male thought process, because the conversations that you're hearing on panels and women conversations amongst each other, and like the red table and you in the fresh and fit, and you know what I mean, and Kevin Samuels and stuff like that, and Tommy Sotomayor and all that, all the more you get into these conversations, that's pretty much the conversations of now. It's not new conversation. The stuff sounds so jolting and offensive to everybody, but really these are conversations that we've been having for the last 40-50 years. It just, guys will have these conversations together or at a bar or at an event. Women will have this amongst the girls and stuff like that, and it's never communicated to each other so each other can hear it, that the sexes can hear the thought process of each other. But we say each other, I guess, in Michigan or something, or middle America, I guess. So they now, effective of the pandemic, our media and our actual communication and our way of even entertaining each other, actually it molded and changed and mimicked itself to the actual pandemic, where if you're at home with somebody for so long and you kind of with somebody, you kind of start telling them all your thought process, and they never really had to sit through that or analyze that or stuff like that. So it's part of how you guys interact. It's based now. That's how that's how we did in the podcasting world. We start talking about what we thinking and how we thinking and what is the thought process, and then people started debating on camera and stuff like that. And then people got in the way of like saying, you know what, we should have a panel like that. We should go online again today and talk and have views and conversation about what we thinking of and everything like that. And that's how we get this big thing. But I want people to know that all the conversation that we're having open now are things that we've been saying to each other or not been saying to each other, but been very much part of the conversation for the last 40-50 years. The problem is we're hearing it now. We have to evaluate it now. It's not a conversation that you don't have anymore. It's a conversation that you're having daily. And if you're not having this conversation, it's only going to do worse for you, because it's unavoidable. It's in the thought process of people's head. It's in the songs that women write. It's in the podcasting that men listen to. You get what I'm saying? So you do a disservice to yourself by not being upfront and actually having a conversation out bluntly. You know what I mean? So the reason why I'm talking about this, about leveling up, is because I always want people to kind of do more for themselves. Not to the level of the level up culture, but because the consumer is being attacked. You get what I'm saying? The consumer is being attacked. So why is the consumer being attacked? Because the sellers and the actual the providers are saying that you're so stupid, you're going to buy my product. You're going to listen to my platform. You're going to do the things that are against your best interests because it's normal to do what's against your best interest, and you don't know no better. It's very rare that you're going to change what society made you. It's very rare. That's how the social influencers and the podcasters and the level up culture, that's how they communicate to the people. So for me, I'm always saying, in order to just shake that a little bit, you just got to do double to what you're already doing. If you're making $15 an hour, make 30. If you're making $30 an hour, make 60. If you're making 60, make 120 $100 an hour. You get what I'm saying? So and so on and so on and so on. What that does is it puts you in the space where they're not communicating to you. You know what I mean? The tricks are not against you. You know what I mean? I mean, the tricks are not for you. Because right now, our statutes, our laws, our tricks to the tax code and all that stuff is to hurt us, the majority, to keep us spinning around in the hamster wheel, chasing our tail. It's to make us where we can't really make a decision. We can't really stop and plot a little bit. You get what I'm saying? And the reason why it's like that, because you need the majority. People say, like, okay, if you look at the economy, you see that most people that's over $150,000, $150,000 and up, they're not really like spending their money like that. You know what I mean? And then if you get into a place where you're using your tax to pay for your car, so you make an LLC in your name, and then you put your car to your LLC, that way you get a tax rebate on that. Or you put a house in your LLC to get taxes back on that. Why? Because it's things that thrives the economic system of America. And if the things that you're doing is for the growth of the economic system of America, you get money back from your barter and trade structure in order to keep doing it. We need to give you incentive to keep doing it. So that's why the people with money are getting a lot of their money back. They're able to sustain and keep a lot of their money, because the gamble of our economic system and the way that our country works is we give incentive to people that's doing. If you're doing, we give incentives to you to keep doing. So we don't need your money, making more people that can spend money that they can't spend today. But now that they're working for you, they're interacting with you, they're spending money. And as long as that keep moving, you got that money moving. You got that $20 trillion just moving like crazy through the country on a year-to-year basis. So for me, in order for me to get the average people, the McDonald's workers, the Popeyes chicken workers, don't be ashamed of working at Popeyes or McDonald's or anything. If you want to really smack people in the face and make them have to respect you, double it up. Get 2 of them. Get 2 Popeyes chicken jobs. Get 2 Walmart jobs. Get 2 McDonald's jobs. Yeah, it's gonna hit you big in the time, because it's only 24 hours in a day. If you got 16 hours that you're working, or let's say if you only work at a second job for 5 to 6 hours, then you're still doing enough that's like literally 18 hours a day. You get what I'm saying? Sorry, not 18 hours a day. You're still doing about 12 hours a day. 12 to 16 hours a day, you're still kind of hitting it. That's a lot. And look, I advise men to do this. You know what I mean? Why? Because men, they can hit it. They can hit it. Our body's built for it, which, you know, that's why we die earlier. But it's we're built to take on a major stress. It's not good for us, but we built to take it on. And I'm saying, in order to kind of get yourself a little bit above the normal situation, you gotta kind of double whatever you're making. It's not about if you're making $100 a day or something, like $80 a day or something. It's not if you're making $80 a day or you're making $100 a day, not $100 a day, $100 an hour. You get what I'm saying? Or $80 an hour in equivalent. Because if you look at a 12-hour day or 14-hour day, if you add those 2 separate jobs up to be 1 8-hour shift, how much would that be? Because that's what you're saying. then you need to get your hourly wage and hourly salary or revenue that you're bringing in. It needs to be equivalent of that. Most of the time, for the average person to be equivalent of having $37, you need 2 jobs to do that. You get what I'm saying? So and that's the most easy way to get to it if you're not getting it by being a construction worker that's been on the job for 8 to 10 years or something like that. Then the easiest way is to double up. So I say if $37 to $75 is the going rate for success in America, because that's what it is, then you need to try your best to get somewhere around there. So that's why I say $30 is kind of bringing you into the play where you're $7 less, but you can always do something to gain that little extra $7 per hour that you need. But you could sell cakes or cookies or whatever, I don't know. You could do something on the side, DoorDash, do whatever you got to do to get that extra $7 an hour. You get what I'm saying? But the point of it is that puts you where you're not dodging bullets so ruthlessly, because the average of us, we dodge bullets every hour of the day, every single day, and we can never really get above the water. In order to get above the water, you have to push and push and push and push and push. You have to be going all day, every day. You get what I'm saying? And sooner or later, you'll get some breathing room, but it'll most likely be a while. You know what I mean? And why? Because it's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's a rich and poor thing. We made a lot of black people rich. And a lot of those black people turned their guns on the black people. You know what I'm saying? So because they don't know how to do business, if they do any kind of pretense of business or perception of business, then they look at it as all or nothing. You know what I mean? Meaning that I want everything. So you, for example, you'll have a person, like for me, I'm a filmmaker. I'll hand in like a $85,000 movie, because low independent movie. The budget for it is $85,000. So in our community, we'll look at $15,000 as just as good as that $85,000. You know what I mean? And he's saying like, hey, I gave for $85,000. If I start with this, just have a backbone. So if I need anything, I can come back to you and we can move this ball forward. And we can knock whatever we need to knock out. But they'll say, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's go. But when the shit hits the fan and it's real valuation time, you'll see that, nah. You know what I mean? Nah. This is crazy. So, and I totally understand, because most people are assisters. They're there to assist you in whatever you're doing. You get what I'm saying? So if risk starts to be if people start to be risk averse, that can really destroy some stuff. You know what I mean? Why? Because leaders, they got to do what they got to do. And we could debate why we got to be why we got to be so risky, or why we got to have a mechanism to be, to not be a risk averse person. You'll find out that most people, they're just trying to preserve self. They're self-retained. They're trying to preserve themselves. They're trying to make sure that they take the least amount of hits. But if you really are not from prominence backing, you're gonna take some hits. it's going to be a lot of trial and error. Why? Because you don't have the power to do what you're doing or you're trying to attempt to do. And by not having that power to try to attempt to do what you're doing, you're going to get the magnification of what you're trying to do. Meaning that the average, you should not ever make a movie that's under $400,000. Why? Because it guarantees no matter what happens, you most likely can execute on from beginning to end of this project, you know? So most people can't play in that space. Most people can't play in that space. And if you go to Tubi and you watch it, just sit down and watch it. Go. And I tell you this: watch Friday, Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, and Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Friday, and Bad Boys, the first Bad Boys. Watch those movies. And I would even include the first season of Power. On Starz Power. The first season of that. Why? Because that's your baseline as a filmmaker. Then you go to Tubi and all the stuff, and I'm telling you, a lot of the stuff you watch independent on Tubi, those people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for kits and setups to film that stuff. So 80,000 to 144,000 setup that they have there. So look at what you're seeing, and you're gonna see the what I mean by just base, like when you go under $400,000, that means that you're gonna spitball this. You're not gonna properly angle something lighted, or even just kind of say, okay, hey, we got to give this perception and this is what we're looking for, and hey, that line means this. Do you understand that? That's the context of this. And so the physicality of you saying that or you feeling this is what? Okay, that's not the right emotion or physicality to have. Let me get you into the mindset of this. You get that now, you understand that now, you feel that now, and then record. They're not doing that. They're kind of just verbatimly going through the script. Oh, we got to do this action. We got to do this. We got to do this. And then enough of it, they hope that by doing it so many times, they're catching something that is closer to what they should have done 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago. So now all that stuff that they was learned going through the process is all on Tubi and everything. And then you say like, wow, man, do you guys understand that you spent 10 to 15 years not beating Menace to Society, not beating Boys in the Hood, not beating Friday, not beating Bad Boys? Everything y'all did can't touch that. Everything y'all did can't touch one season, like not one season, the first season of Power. If you look at the framing, if you look at the camera adjustments, if you look at the shots, if you look at the cuts, if you look at the way they presented it, none of your films and projects and your independent shows or anything can beat what they did in Friday, Boys the Hood, Men's Society, and the first season of Power. That's what it is. That's how it is. That's why I say, when you're doing what you're doing, you must allow yourself to do you, be you. And if you want to actually execute on that, be faithful to it. Be faithful to your objective. Be faithful to what you're doing, what you're trying to do. Yes, you have to have some kind of understanding of your numbers and everything. Sometimes you get sucked into it. I did. I got sucked into it for six to 8 years, where I didn't care about my economics. I didn't care about my leveling up. I didn't care about even being able to sustain my own life. I was so in it that anything I could grab to get something to the finish line, at least get the footage, get the actual presentation completely shot and get it done and spend some years putting it all together. That's how when you're in the jungle, you're surrounded by people that's not supposed to be doing this. They can't economically do it. They just don't understand what's asked. No movie's supposed to be made under $400,000. They always say that every half an hour at the baseline is $400,000. Every 30 minutes is $400,000. If you can't play in that space, you're going to miss something. You're going to lose some quality. You're going to lose some essence of what was supposed to have been executed on. So that's why I say most people can't play in the film movie space, and you'll see it if you watch it on Tubi. You'll see it's a good movie. They got good location, good idea, good premise, all that stuff like that. But man, terrible execution on the dialogue, on the communication, on acting, on filming it. It's terrible, but they were there. They had the cameras. They had good cameras. They had good production. They had good location. They had a good subject in front of them. They just didn't give it time, and they didn't give it execution to capture it right. So now it's for decades to come, and it's all out there now. Complete disrespect of production and going out there to execute on the story. So that's good because people make money off that. I'm glad to know that you could put anything out there if you package it right, if you get in, if you out there just communicating enough and get a little groundswell in your neighborhoods and your city and in the culture and all the other stuff, and you will get enough following that's bringing you $48,000 every couple months, and bring you 60, 100, 160, $600,000 every quarter. You're making about 2 million, 3 million off of it in a span of 3-5 years and stuff like that. That's easy money, and all you paid for it was $40,000, $50,000, $80,000, $100,000. I know somebody paid like about $1.8 million on the show and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So they made double, triple that. So but it ain't the best of it. It's not beating the first season of Power. It's not. So when you know that and you see where the line is, you could play in that space and do what you got to do. But at the same time, you have to have people around you that understands the economic risk. You get what I'm saying? And the risk is not that you're not going to do anything. It's the risk to say, hey, the cheaper you go, the more dots and dotting the I's, crossing T's you're going to have to do. But you're going to have to do it at the highest rate in order to pull off the limitations of economic positioning, filming, and locations and all the other stuff. But look, that's what I wanted to kind of tell you guys. In the midst of leveling up, always give yourself the gratitude and the respect to understand that it's a fight. It's a day-to-day fight. But that day-to-day fight is for your better outcome. And men, we have to find it in our hearts and our souls and our mind to stop listening to exterior voices. Because it slows you down. You're going to have more success, more faster, if you stop thinking it's about getting along. No, it's about driving your goal home. Getting every single thing you want for your goal. And if you compromise that because you're trying to keep unification, you're trying to keep a relativeness of collaboration, or you've unified peers and everything like that, that's going to turn against you because you're going out of what absolutely needs to get done for the outcome you're looking for. This is my moment. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm gonna come in and we're gonna talk about some news when I get back. Check you guys out. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on out there. You know. So my name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. Individual Perspective Podcast. Daris D. McKinney, and I'll see you guys in the next one.